Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
August 3, 2020, the new normal edition. First up from the Financial Times, will the Wirecard scandal finally get the EU to address and upgrade financial supervision over banks, particularly around their abysmal record on money laundering? The top officials for the EU say the German payment card collapse will reinforce an attitude by Brussels, which was previously thwarted, to get through greater regulations, but more importantly, greater oversight. If we had had that from an EU group, perhaps the German BaFin wouldn't have protected Wirecard rather than actually investigating it. And our lead story today comes from the Wall Street Journal. New normal emerges for companies navigating the COVID-19 pandemic. Business executives say they are getting a better grip on what a world transformed by the coronavirus looks like, giving them more confidence to lay out strategies that account for this new reality. Corporate leaders are changing company operations and resetting assumptions after having absorbed months of fresh information about how customers act with everyday life, often marked by working and staying from home, traveling less, and social distancing. In response to the emerging environment, businesses are retooling prices, store designs, and productions for both the immediate and the long-term future. For instance, Chief Executive of McDonald's says it's time for us to get back on the front foot. He said the hamburger chain initially had to work through the shock of the pandemic, but is ready to ramp up its marketing. It's moved to a limited menu to help simplify operations. So businesses, I think, now understand we are going to be in this for, if not a year, perhaps even longer, and they are responding it from a business perspective. Next up, from the New York Times, Deutsche Bank has opened a review into the personal banker to Trump and the Kushners. The bank will examine a 2013 transaction between the banker and a company part owned by Jared Kushner. In 2013, the banker Rosemary Vrablick and 2 of her colleagues purchased a Park Avenue apartment from a company controlled by the Kushners. When she and her colleagues bought the apartment, Trump and Kushner were clients at Deutsche Bank, and they received approximately $100 million in loans from the banks and would seek hundreds of millions more. Typically, the bank restricts employees from doing personal business with clients because of the obvious conflict of interest. Of course, this is Deutsche Bank, so anything goes in the Wild West of Deutsche Bank. And finally, from the Washington Post, Microsoft has confirmed it will try to buy TikTok after the CEO of the company talked to President Trump. President Trump had said that he would ban TikTok, which of course was complete horse hockey, as he doesn't have the authority to do that. Nevertheless, it's part of his overall trade war with China. And apparently Microsoft was able to allay his fears that by making TikTok a U.S. company, all of the fears would be allayed. It really shows the abysmal effort by Trump that this has nothing to do with national security, and it has everything to do with the trade war with China. Of course, he didn't focus in on the billions of teenagers in America and what they would have done, effervescing their desire to ever belong to such a Republican Party that would ban their top platform. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.